Good evening. We are so glad to have you back with this show. We always try to have guests that are going to be so awesome and inspiring. And tonight we have exactly that for you. We have John Michael Ferrari and Pepper J, and I'm going to probably let them introduce themselves in just a couple seconds. But first, I want you to know that prior to me looking and finding out more about John Michael, I did not know him. I didn't know him as a singer or even as a Parumpian. And the more I learned, the more I became a fan. And I'm hoping that tonight, everybody watching this show will also be a fan. I want you to listen carefully, take notes, because you're going to want to follow up on him. I guarantee it. And so you're going to hear John Michael, you're going to hear Pepper J. And right now, I just want to say, John Michael, Pepper J, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us on your show. I'm John Michael Ferrari, and I had to get up early this morning for this. Yeah, you know.
Prepare all day for this lovely evening. I'm Pepper J. Thank you, Dr. Tom, for having us.
I am just so happy because, like I said, in finding out and learning more about you, it's just been so impressive. Now, I know we're going to talk about the fact you're a writer, you're a songwriter, you've won multiple awards. You've also, and I'm going to show this right now, the fact that you're in the Prompt Life magazine. So for those who look at Prompt Life magazine, the January, February issue, you'll see the story of John Michael and also talks about Pepper J. And you can get all the information right there. But we're going to tell you so much more during this conversation tonight. So again, I want to talk about what type of music John Michael sings, what type he writes, and I'll let them talk about a lot of that. The multiple music awards that he won. He's earned them all, and I know, and he's going to talk about one that he totally didn't expect, and they just handed it to him and really surprised him. But he's earned every award that he's received. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to John Michael and Pepper J and let them tell you about this fantastic journey they've been on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny how life is. You know, I've been doing music most of my life, ever since I was in high school. I actually got my first guitar when I was about 8 years old. I learned how to play Tom Dooley. And yeah, and what I wanted for myself back as a young man, like everybody, I wanted to be a successful singer and songwriter. And I chose a path that this is what I wanted for my career. And people would tell me, said, no, you can't do that. As you know, you have to pick something else that's
more realistic.
Yeah, realistic, get a job, that type of thing. But I didn't listen to them. And after the service, I was in the military, I pursued it even more vigorously. And I had a really good career. I performed in Las Vegas, all over the country. The difference of today, why I think I have the success that I have today, is because for so many years, I was playing cover songs. And no matter how good you are playing cover songs, you're still doing somebody else's material. And one day I came off tour, and we were living in Los Angeles, and I told Pepper, I said, I'm done. You know, I'm tired of performing. I'm going cross country and everything. And she says, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. But I had a slight interest in photography. And so actually, I took up photography, and a lot of my friends were models and actors, so I called them up, and they all volunteered, and I had a great time doing that. And after a few years, Pepper came to me, and she said, you know, why don't you do your own songs, write your own songs? And I did a little bit in the past. And I said, oh, that's an interesting concept. I'll try that. And I did. And in between, there's a lot of things that happened. But basically, we moved to Pahrump. I concentrated on the music. I had my songs down. We worked on them together. And then she said, let's go to Nashville and record the songs. Let's do it the way the big people do it. We went to Nashville, recorded the songs, and started releasing them through a radio promoter, and we were surprised. We were shocked of the success, how fast we got on the charts, started hitting it, and what's happening today.
You know, John has always been an exceptional songwriter. Even when he was in Vietnam, in the Army, he wrote a song about his first firefight. And it's a novelty little song, but it's been in several movies and still honored by the Dust-Off Association. The Dust-Off is the military helicopter that picks up the wounded and the dead after, or sometimes even during, a firefight. And his songwriting over those years was exceptional. In about 1990, I chose about 12 of those songs and produced them, and that became his first recorded album. What is it called? My Early Life. And some of my favorite songs that he wrote in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, well, the early 90s, are on that album. But we didn't really follow the pattern of like the people that he competes with today, you know, Luke Combs and Lee Brice and Post Malone and people that are on the charts with him. We just recorded the album, and he would sell them at his gigs, and we'd sell them to fans, and they'd enjoy them. But I'm sometimes hesitant to call John Michael Ferrari a songwriter, because what he really is, he's more of a writer, a poet, and he puts that story to music because he experienced his life, and most of the time he empathizes with somebody else's experience in life, and then he writes a story to music to it. So although our most recent album, and we'll talk about that, Be the Smile on Your Face, is hitting all internationally and all over the place, I like to remind him that even before all of this big international success that he's been having the last year, he was, I think, an exceptional writer right from the beginning.
Yeah, I just didn't know it. I guess, you know, sometimes, you know, you get a lot of compliments for what you do, and I just do it. I mean, I don't try to be clever. I don't try to be anything. I write the songs. They come to me, but here's an important thing about songwriting. It doesn't just happen. It's a combination of all the years of experience and everything that I've gone through. And songwriting is a specific thing. When you're writing for radio played songs, there's a certain format, certain structure that you have to follow. And if you don't follow that structure and you write songs, don't write songs in that structure, they're not going to play your songs. There has to be a place, you have your intro, you have your verse, sometimes a second verse, you have a pre-chorus, and then you have a chorus. You're out, you have a bridge. You know, it has to fit within that structure. And if it doesn't fit, they say it's not radio ready, it's not radio play.
And they won't play it. Our last album, you'll recognize it because it has our goat Ozzy on the cover.
Yeah.
We live on a ranch here in Pahrump, Nevada. It was a country crossover album that we recorded in Nashville at Larry Beard Studio, Beaird, who I highly recommend for both his being a musical director and his studio players. That has a particular format. Depending on the format of songs that you're writing for, what genre, it may have different formats. There's about 2 or 3 acceptable formats now for country songs and country crossover songs.
Our first song that hit the charts was a song called So Beautiful. Now, we sat with Larry Beard, and we went through the structure. And he said, you know, John, he said, you have one verse here that you don't really need. It takes it out of the structure. And I love that verse.
Yeah, well, that was hard to take that out.
And he says, you got to take it out if you want to be in, structure. And we looked at each other and said, we're going to do it. You know, we're going to go along with what they recommend. And I'm glad we did. But, I mean, when I play it live, I can play the verse. But, having a musical director, and that's quite an experience when you go to Nashville, because and in the studio, I mean, we're at the place and with the musicians that all the top artists use these people. And when you go there, you got to be prepared.
They're fast.
They're fast. I mean, they run down a song and they one time, and they'll do it a second time, and they're done. You move on. I mean, it's quite an experience.
It's an interesting experience, and if you're not prepared, it's time and money. We do 6 songs in 5 days. So we already have the song recorded in John Michael's studio, so I consider it an exceptional demo. And we bring the arrangement, because John is an amazing person that does arrangements, really, really nice. And the first day that we're there, they help chart it out with the Nashville charting system.
Yeah.
They sometimes call that NA, N-A. And the first day, he'll sing a demo vocal, and the musicians will listen to what he put together at his studio, and then they'll record it. And then they may or may not even go for a second pass, or each musician may say, let's go back to a certain bar, do it over. The second day, he's doing his final recording of his vocals, and then the background vocals, maybe the second and third day. By the 4th day, they're starting to mix. And the 5th day, they're mixed and they're done.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately for us, we have our own studio. So when we get it back divided into different tracks, where each instrument is on a track, we can have lots of discussions as how we want to remix it. And then we are talking to them either on the phone or FaceTime. And between us and them, they can do a remix. And another 2 or 3 weeks later.
Yeah, we just did a recent remix for the pop version.
That's right.
Because we had a request, said, you have a country version of it, we need a pop version.
So that was fun.
So we took out the slide guitar.
So anyway, it's very quick, and 3 weeks later, we were actually hearing So Beautiful on the radio.
On the radio, and on the station right here in town.
36
Yeah.
seconds. Yeah, a fun experience.
So that was good. Somebody called us, hey, your song's playing on the radio.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, this is just fantastic. We're just listening as we go along. Now, I also want to add in that in our next session, we're going to be talking about the fact that John Michael is also an Army veteran, Vietnam veteran as well, for all those veterans out there that are going to be following this completely. So we want you to come back to our next session, and we've got a lot to talk about yet. Come on back. Welcome back. Again, we are talking to John Michael Ferrari and Pepper J, and we've already heard so many exciting things that should make us a fan. If you're not a fan, you should definitely be a fan by the time this interview ends. And if you go to John Michael's website, which is johnmichaelferrari.com, you're going to find out a lot more. And some of the things we're going to talk about, like home visits and all the awards that he's won. So we want to cover all of that in this session. Again, I do want to mention the fact that he is a Vietnam veteran, Army, and for all you Army vets out there, as well as all of us who serve with the Army and the Army protected us, we just want to say thanks to John Michael for his service. So at this time, I'm going to turn it back to John Michael and Pepper J, and let them tell us more about this journey that they're on.
Thank you, Dr. Tom.
Thank you. He did mention that I'm a military vet, and the way that happened, I was attending Las Vegas High School. Yes, I don't think it's still there, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah. Anyways, and they came to me with an idea, with a fantastic idea. They said, we have for you. And I go, what is that? You should drop out of school and join the Army. I wasn't doing that well in school. And so I did. And, you know, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. One of the best things, you know. I wouldn't say dropping out of school is a good thing, but for me, I was just taking up space, you know.
Well, you should know his childhood was not exactly pleasant and very abusive. And so you kids that are out there, and if your parents ask you, did you do your homework, or can I help you read to this with you or something, you're very fortunate. He didn't have that, and all of his education he did as an adult during and after the service. So there's always a chance to make yourself better if the school district fails you, that's for sure.
But it was a good thing. to go to the military. It gives you a great appreciation for our wonderful country. And then just started doing music.
Yes.
But we'll cut to what happened this last year. I was really surprised when I was nominated for, what was the best singer-songwriter?
So about 2 years ago, John was performing in Henderson at a club there called the E String. And it's recently changed owners. And they asked him back over and over and over again. But what we didn't know was that the CEO of the Fame Awards walked into the club while John was performing. And John has a lot of ideas about performing, and one is that there's never a stranger in the audience. And little did we know that a year later, in I think fall of 2019, he awarded John Singer-Songwriter of the Year. He was looking at all of these people and he thought, you know, that man that I saw last year, I really liked his songs. And
there was a time when we used to cover the event. It was called the L.A. Music Awards.
Yes.
And we used to go there. We'd cover it.
The red carpet.
Red
For our
carpet.
magazine, the Actors Reporter.
And have all the celebrities coming down the red carpet.
Yes.
And she said, well, one day they'll be giving you an award. And I go, for what? What am I doing?
For your songwriting.
Well, I didn't know back then, but she saw that. And it was funny when I was getting the award that night. I was thinking about our time standing on the red carpet and you saying, one day you'll get that award. And I was getting the award.
And that really started a lot. And I
Yeah.
have to personally thank Al Bowman, who also recently moved to Pahrump, Nevada.
Yes.
He was the CEO. And, you know, once you get an award and you have all of a sudden recognition and there are press releases about it, it leads to another thing and another thing. John was asked to perform for the Oscars in 2020. I think it was February or March 2020. And it was called Hollywood Tribute to the Oscars. And he's on, well, first of all, he arrives and the sound guy says, where's the band?
I got no band. This is just me and the guitar.
Well, he has two bands, one in Nashville and one in Vegas. But in that particular instance, he didn't bring the band.
Yeah, I mean, they're ready for the orchestra and all that stuff. And the sound guy said, where's your band? I go, I'm it.
But he made him sound great.
He made me sound good, did he?
And he's performing on stage, and then all of a sudden, this lady walks on the stage with a huge statue and awarded him Peace Song of the Year for his song Like a Rock and Roll Band, who's really never been really recorded yet. And then that was the first of 3 wonderful awards that you had in 2020.
Yeah.
Remember what the other ones are?
No.
Yes, you do. Okay, and let me think. In December of 2020, the Producer's Choice Honors awarded him AAA album. That's triple and then the letter A album, which stands for Alternative Americana Album, for his album, Be the Smile on Your Face. And that was lovely, with a lovely award. And he was performing for a full house in 2019, but in 2020 it was social distancing.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Well, you're funny when you look at the CD. We don't have a CD. You'll see a cover of our goat,
Ozzy.
Ozzy, on the cover of the CD. And the way that came about is we live on a ranch. So she's got her own little office on the ranch, and I walk in, she goes, I need a picture for the CD. She says, go get cleaned up.
He said no.
I won't get cleaned up. We live on a ranch, and I'm comfortable just like it. And she said, go, shower and get cleaned up, look all pretty and everything. I said, well, can't you find another picture?
So I brought him Ozzy.
No, well, first you the 3 girls. Which
I used a little bit.
Yeah, you used 3 girls on the cover. And they were very beautiful girls, but I said, I don't know them. And she said, well, I can put Ozzy. And I said, I don't know.
And then you said yes.
I said, I don't know. She said, well, go get cleaned up. I said, use Ozzy. That's how Ozzy got on the cover.
Yeah.
That's
and then also in December of 2020, which was lovely, there's something called Easy Way, letter E, then letter Z, and WAY magazine. And they had a golden gala, virtual gala, and you had to vote for all these different people. And John won Rising Star of the Year. And that was just, what, a couple of months ago, and that was a lovely award. for you
And
to
it's
receive.
nice because we're on the charts again with some other awards. Now I'm up there with a lot of well-known people, and I don't think that it's going to happen. But just to be up there,
He's so excited to be on the same piece of paper as Justin or Ariana or Lady Gaga or Lady A, and there he is right now today, March 9th. He's been #5 for 3 weeks for his song "Somewhere We Could Fall," which also comes from the album. He got up to #4 for "So Beautiful."
yeah.
Keep Falling All Over Myself, which is a country song, has been on charts all over the world. #12 in the country of Belgium at one time. It's an amazing ride. It's you just don't
Yeah.
you just don't know. You just keep plugging away at what you want to do. Perseverance is what's happening.
But I think what somebody in Nashville, one of the publishers, told us, they said, when you're here, you can pitch your songs to well-known artists. But he said, in your case, you're a singer, entertainer. You should just do it yourself. And we did. We decided to take that advice. But she works at it. I mean, she's on the phone all day. She's talking to people all over the world, DJs, thanking them for playing our song. I mean, she is the whole record company. We're an independent, artist. And nowadays, that's really a good way to go because you have control over your career. But it takes a lot of work. She calls people, she talks to people, and they play her songs. In Australia, she'll call somebody over there, and it's an
I'll
amazing
email
thing.
them. It's a little, but it's interesting. That same publisher that told him he should do it himself because he's a great singer took 4 of our songs. So you never know. You want to be like a spider and take your little tentacles and put them in every direction you can. And so it worked out.
Anybody who wants to, you can contact us. We had
Please feel free. Facebook Messenger, Pepper J, or John Michael Ferrari. It is our pleasure to share ideas with you, to take the time with you, whether you want to be an entertainer. When we teach, and we have, before COVID, we had schools from all over the United States come over to our ranch. We say we teach singing or modeling or acting, but we're really teaching communication skills or confidence. And you can reach out to us. Matter of fact, some of the students, if you go online and you go to John's YouTube channel, please subscribe. One of the YouTubes that are out there is Make Your Life Better. One of his students and him were singing the song. Actually, on my cover face, can you see that? It says Make Your Life Better. Not only is it a great sentiment, but when you're sharing, whether it's with students or just even strangers, it makes your life better, and that's what we enjoy doing. So please reach out to us.
Yeah, if you have any questions on how to navigate through this, trying to get where you want to go as an artist, it's difficult if you don't have a mentor or somebody you can ask or point you in the right direction. We did a lot of trial and error, but we made it through. And anybody who wants to follow that, we're happy to give you advice to, help you in whatever direction you want to go. And it can happen, but you have to follow certain steps.
That's true.
Yeah, you got to follow the steps. They require certain things as an artist if you want to get radio play. Now, if you don't want to get radio play, you can write songs any way you want, for yourself and for your friends. But if you want a specific thing, which is you want to get out there and have radio play, you got to write.
Yeah.
The structure.
It's interesting. We mentioned when we went to Nashville, and Larry Beard gave us lots of advice, and we followed some of it. Some of it we did not. Like there's a song on Be the Smile on Your Face called Peggy Sue's. It's a 6.5-minute song that's way beyond radio play. But as it turns out, it's playing on about 8 different radio stations in Australia and New Zealand, and they just use 2 radio spots for it because, radio stations look for those commercials. And so follow your heart, follow the advice, and just try to do the very best you can. And that's what we try to do, and we're lucky we have each other. And so I hope you're as lucky to find someone that you work with well. And I thank you, Dr. Tom, for having us on this show.
Yeah.
How can I thank John Michael and Pepper J just for being here and sharing all all of this information with you. Be sure if you have any questions about anything that they've discussed, you can go to johnmichaelferrari.com and you can contact them, get more information, because again, this interview to me has just been so exciting. So come back and see us. I'll have another guest for you shortly. Welcome back. And now I want to introduce my new guest to you. And my new guest is Dr. Joseph Gent. He has a doctorate of education, just like I do. We're neither one of us are medical doctors. We can't prescribe aspirin, but we can tell you all about education and why you need to go ahead and further your education. And we're going to talk to Dr. Gent about several things and some of the things that he's doing and where he is in Pahrump. So I also want to mention the fact that he is a veteran, Marine Corps. I know the Marines out there are cheering right now, but you'll get to know more about him as we go along. So Dr. Gent, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here with you tonight.
I am so glad to have you on the program. And you know, there's so many things when we talk about some of your background, and we're going to be covering quite a bit of everything that's going on. But first, for the people that are meeting you for the first time, and they want to know more about you, give us some of your background. Where are you from? How did you get to Pahrump?
Okay, so I'm a native of Washington State. I came from a naval town called Bremerton, Washington, and I grew up under what the federal government would define as under the poverty line. So I have some experiences that I gained that makes me feel an affinity for those who are living in poverty, which we'll get to later in the show, but why I feel like I have a personal connection for my current assignment in the school district. But anyway, I eventually joined the Marine Corps. I took a commission as an officer in the Marine Corps, and I was stationed in a place called Yuma, Arizona, and then I got off active duty. I went into the reserves, and I went back to Washington State, but then I got activated for the Iraqi war. And when I stepped off the plane in Kuwait, I literally got there a week before the ground war kicked off in 2003. So when I stepped off the plane in Kuwait, I realized I needed to get back to the desert. And so that's kind of the roundabout way that I got to Pahrump and Nye County School District. I wanted to get back to the desert. I missed the heat. I missed the sand. And it took Kuwait and Iraq to get me to remember that I love the desert. So as an educator, I was familiar with Nye County School District. I had done my student teaching here. And so I came back to Nye County School District. And then, of course, we actually have over 80% poverty in our school district, our students.
Okay. Now, where did you do your student teaching?
So I did my student teaching at Rosemary Clark Middle School when it was in a different location, but it was here in Pahrump that I did that.
How do you like the new school?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You can get lost on that campus. It's confusing.
I agree completely. In the time I've been here, as I saw the new school come up and what they're doing, but all of Clark County or Nye County School District, I'm very impressed with everything that you guys have accomplished. So, but when we look at the fact that you are Director of Alternative and Distance Education, give us some insight as to exactly what that's all about.
Okay. Before I even answer that question, though, you said that you're very impressed with Nye County School District, and I appreciate that. And one thing I always like to remind myself and my staff is that Nye County School District is not facilities. It's not programs. It's not. Nye County School District is the students and the members of our community. That is what our focus has to be at Nye. So when I say I love Nye County School District, I'm thinking of the students and their families. So you ask about alternative and distance education, I believe?
Yes.
So right now, everybody is familiar with the term distance education.
They've got to be because of COVID.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the vast majority of families are experiencing what's actually called education at a distance. So it's a little different than what I'm over. What I'm over is actually almost completely online learning. So where the vast majority of the families right now are experiencing a teacher, a live teacher, and maybe their kids come to school part-time and then they're at home the other time and they're dealing with a live teacher. Almost all of my students receive their schooling through an online program called Edgenuity, and they're not dealing with a live teacher. So it's a little different, the distance education, than what most people think about, especially with the pandemic, of what it is. And then, of course, a lot of the students, not all of the students, but a lot of the students that come and participate in the distance education, and they all turn to school, it's because they would rather do an online venue than an in-person venue. And so right now we have about 160 students in Nye County School District who are doing that.
Okay. Look, I don't want to run out of time. My counter is not working at this point, so I don't know exactly how much time we have left. But
about 6.5 minutes.
We're going to continue going on because things are going so good. With the Nye County School District, during COVID, what are some of the things that you've had to do to make up for where you are, what's going on, and things like that?
Okay, so we, as a part of the Pathways high school, middle school, we do under normal circumstances, we give in-person tutoring to any child who wants to come in whenever they want to come in, Monday through Friday during normal school hours. But because of the pandemic, we had to limit the space, and the students had to schedule appointments to come in. Also, a lot of our students didn't feel comfortable coming in. So whereas last year, on any given day, you could see 30 to 40 students on our campus at one time, this year, typically, you would see between 5 and 12. So a drastic reduction in the number of students that are on our campus at any given time.
What are some of the problems as far as the positivity rates? You hear nationwide that in the schools, it's not bad, and depends on where you are and who you're listening to. But what do you find as far as, I know your students are mostly at home, but the ones that are coming in, is there a positivity rate for COVID that is causing you to stay with some of the directions from the CDC?
So we are not aware of any of our students who have tested positive. That doesn't mean that they haven't, but they have not. We have not been aware of it. We haven't been notified. No, it's mostly just been staff members. And then, of course, the community is familiar with, as different schools have had to go to remote learning solely as a venue for a period of time because we had to quarantine. Or if our staff members weren't exposed, if they didn't test positive, they may have been exposed, so we had to quarantine for that. So yeah, it was challenging from many different directions.
Wow. I can just imagine it, and I have to look back pre-COVID and the school systems that I've dealt with, and I just cannot imagine what you guys are going through at this time.
It has been a challenge, and fortunate for us, I go back to the parents and the students. First of all, the students are the most flexible and understanding. They just kind of roll with it. Maybe it's because they're young, I don't know. But the parents have also been very, very kind and understanding. Nobody likes wearing masks. Nobody likes not being able to go to sporting events, all the other things that the pandemic has just really kind of put a downer on. But I cannot stress how much kindness, patience, and understanding I feel like parents have given to us. And that just makes our very difficult job easier. And we really appreciate it. And we try to communicate that with the parents every chance we get.
Well, I want to say right now, because I know how difficult it is sometimes with dealing with parents. And for parents to work so well with you, I want to say to every parent watching this tonight that thank you for working with Nye County School District, working with the administration, working with the staff, and making their lives a little bit easier by what you do in supporting them. Parents, you'll never know how much your support is wanted and appreciated when you come out and support the administration, the school, the principals, the teachers. It removes all the heavy weight from their shoulders. So again, I'd just like to say thank you, and I know Dr. Jen is saying the same thing. He's saying thank you for all that you're doing in supporting them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Dr. Tom has his doctorate in education, same as me. He actually knows what he's talking about. So,
you know, I want to hit some other subjects as well. The fact that you came to Pahrump and you said it's because of the desert. A lot of people have a lot of different reasons as to why they came to Pahrump. The one that you gave, I thought, was truly outstanding. I never got to Kuwait. Kind of glad I didn't, I guess. But it's a beautiful country from what I hear. But we have just the fact that you talk about the fact you like the desert and you wanted to come to Pahrump for that reason. Also the fact that you knew that we needed you here. The students needed you here, and the parents and Nye County School District needed you here. So for you to be here, we want to say thank you to you as well, because you could have gone anywhere. You could have ended up anywhere, and yet you're here serving the people and the students of Pahrump.
thank you, Dr. Tom. I will tell you, my wife and I talk about it quite a bit, and my siblings. We have siblings who have joined us here, actually moved here after us, and Pahrump and Nye County has been so good to us. We've just been tremendously blessed living here. And so we want to contribute to the community and help out every way we can, but we so recognize and appreciate what it's done for us.
You know, I'm going to go back and say that I know we're going to be talking about adult education and pre-K education in our next session. There's so many other things that I want to talk to Dr. Jen about. So I want you to be able to contact him, and we'll give you contact information so that if you have any questions about anything we discuss, you can contact him personally and say, look, I have a question about this or that. So come back and join us. Welcome back to our final session. And on this session, again, I have Dr. Joseph Gent. He's from Nye County School District, and he's telling us a lot about why he's here, what he's done, and so on. And we've already talked about alternative and distance education. He might want to touch on that again. But now we're going to talk about adult and pre-K education. And I also want to remind everybody, too, that we're talking about a Marine Corps veteran, someone who served in Iraq. And so for the veterans out there, you always want to know if the guests that I have are veterans, and we try and have as many as we can on, because we want to encourage everybody to support our veterans no matter what the situation is. We're here, veterans are here to serve the country. And doesn't matter what political party or anything else, we're talking about serving our country. And that's what's important. So Dr. Gent is a United States Marine Corps veteran, as I stated, and he's going to talk to us more about Nye County School District and some of the things that he has done and the accomplishments that the school district has made. Dr. Gent?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tom. And I appreciate you recognizing that I served. There's not a day that goes by in my life where I don't feel like I'm blessed for my time.
All
in the
right,
Marine
I
Corps.
understand.
So it was hard, but it was a good thing. Okay, so in what I want to talk about really quickly in the pre-K. So pre-K, we have two different groups of students at the pre-K Mount Charleston Elementary School. We have the early childhood special education students, and we have the Nevada Ready pre-K students. So early childhood special education students can be 3 years old or 4-year-olds. The Nevada Ready students are just only 4-year-olds. But together, those two populations, last year we had 209 students. This year, parents are a little more iffy about sending their kids to school because of the pandemic. We're at around 155 students. But I want to talk about a program in particular that, so the Pahrump Rotary Club adopted Mount Charleston Pre-K Elementary as their school for a program called Together We Read. So first of all, there is nothing more important for a student to be able to progress in school than to learn to read and learn to read well. And even as far as getting your doctorate, Dr. Tom, I know we had to learn to read differently when we got our doctorate, scholarly reading. But I mean, there's nothing more beneficial. Every student will be a better scientist, a better mathematician, a better historian, if they learn to read and learn to read well. So
Definitely.
So what the Pahrump Rotarians have done for our school is they adopted our school. They've donated literally hundreds of books to our library. They created these little reading kits, and then they kind of schooled us up on how to do a reading program with our parents. So they created reading kits inside these little carry bags, one for every student. They actually gave us more than one for every student, so when new students come, we could give them to them. They taught us how to do a program to encourage our parents to read with their students. And then we actually have the parents taking pictures, so they create evidence that they're doing the reading with their little ones. And then the Pahrump Rotary Club even donates like gift cards for drawings of parents who are participating in it. So a lot of people think, wait a minute, 3s and 4-year-olds, why are we worried about their exposure to see the people that they are their idols, their parents, or the people they love and care about? When they see their parents reading to them. And also, our kids today, 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds across country, spend so much time looking at a screen. So the difference when a parent is sitting with them and reading from a book, those kids feel loved, they feel cared for, and all of a sudden they associate these warm feelings with reading. So they are much more likely to be interested when they get to kindergarten and first grade and second grade and they're being taught reading. So really, the value that the Pahrump Rotary Club is giving us with this program and support and encouragement is just incredible. And so I wanted to express the gratitude there from the pre-K around the reading.
And I am so glad to hear that. As a member of the Pahrump Valley Rotary Club, and if anybody is interested in finding anything about Pahrump Valley Rotary Club, all you got to do is go online and you can go to their website or Facebook page, and they have a lot of good information. Again, it's the Pahrump Valley Rotary Club. And not only do they do the thing on books for reading for children, they also build ramps around for our elderly, and including our veterans. So Rotary Club is very involved in a lot of things, and I'm so glad Dr. Gent brought this out. But we want to focus on Nye County School District and what they're doing there. So let's get back to this reading program. Tell us more.
Okay, so, well, first of all, I would like to also just highlight the fact that we have something that's in special education, they call it Child Find. But for Nevada Ready, it's similar to Child Find. We need the parents to come to us, to bring their 4-year-olds to us. And to qualify for the Nevada Ready pre-K program at Mount Charleston, parents have to be living under 200% the poverty line. So to quickly give an example, if it was a single mother with one child in 2019, the federal poverty line was around 17,000. So 200% of 17,000 would be 34. So that single mother with her one child would have had to be earning less than $34,000 a year for her child to qualify for our program. Okay. So we often get people who come to us and want their child in our program, but they earn more money than it allows. So why is that significant in the discussion about reading? Because children who come from poverty, and I want to remind the audience tonight that I came from poverty. I feel a personal connection to these children because I remember what it was like to go to school and not have new clothing, or any number of different things. So in this country, and probably worldwide, but in this country, the children who get the least exposure to literacy, to books, or being read to are children under the poverty line. So that's another reason why this reading with the pre-K students is so important, to expose them to that vocabulary. Typically speaking, children from a higher socioeconomic status, where there's more money, they are actually exposed to literally dozens of thousands of more words a year than children who are living under. And we don't have time to get into that, but that's why the reading program is so important with our pre-K students. I know you also wanted to hear a little bit about the adult education.
Yes.
Would you like me to talk about that?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so because I see time goes fast in these little segments. So at one end of the spectrum, you have the littles, you have the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds. At the other end of the spectrum, you have adult education, which is really 17-and-a-half-year-olds who have dropped out of high school to 129-year-olds. We don't have very many centurions going to adult ed, but we cover anybody who does not yet have an adult, either a GED or an adult education diploma, which is the same as a high school diploma, but they got it in adult education. We also, underneath my stewardship, I have one correctional facility, Tonopah Conservation Camp up in Tonopah. But the vast majority of our adult ed students are people, well, listen, let me tell you. I had 2 neighbors where I lived before. 2 neighbors, ironically, neither one of them could read. One was in her 70s and the other was in his 60s. And neither one of them graduated from school. One of them had severe dyslexia, the other one I'm not sure which. But people carry that stigma with them. And whether or not we've graduated from school has nothing to do with our level of intelligence and our level of capacity. But people carry a stigma with them if they don't have a high school diploma. I'm interested in helping people get across that line, whether you're 17-and-a-half, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, I don't care. We want to help you. So you can come down to our facility and we purposely talk with our staff. When somebody reaches out to us, be warm and inviting. Know that people have, they're self-conscious about things. Maybe they don't have the best reading skills, whatever. We will do what we can to provide the tutoring necessary. And if you're motivated, we will help you cross that line and get your high school diploma.
Oh, that is just fantastic. You know, anytime we hear about programs that are, it's like an outreach to help somebody get across that line. That's what it's all about. And I think everybody would like to participate in that and have some grasp of it so that they know that I'm helping as well, whether it's a contribution, whether it's a donation, whether it's something that they can participate in. But in this case, they can encourage someone that they might know that doesn't have a high school diploma, doesn't have a GED, to contact you and say, here's some information for you. So everybody has a part that we can play in this.
Absolutely. And even if somebody's not interested in doing it now, but they don't have a high school diploma, reach out to us. Find out what it's like. See what it would involve for you to pursue it. So that even if you're like, I don't want to do this now, well, maybe 3 or 5 or 7 years from now, you will have a change of heart and you'll want to pursue it, or your child or your husband or wife or whoever will want to do that. And again, we want to make it as friendly, warm, inviting, and conducive as possible to help people, because we totally understand that if somebody has not already gotten it, that they might feel a little apprehensive and have a little of anxiety about that. So we welcome anyone, even if you're a parent or somebody related to them, like Dr. Tom said, you can call us, we'll answer your questions. So thank you.
Wow. So much information, so little time. Now, the phone numbers are there. If you want to contact Dr. Gent and get more information on anything that we've covered this evening, please contact him. If you know a friend or anybody, let them know and give them that phone number as well. He talked about the reading program for children. It's available. If you want more information, don't hesitate to call. And we'll see you next month. We'll have some more guests for you, and we'll see you at that time. Thank you.